Thank you, Andy. I want to make 2 points, or maybe a third. One of them is this. Extracting this vast reservoir of a natural resource does pose some risk for the environment, water supplies, wildlife habitat, and it certainly has impacts on our communities. Economists refer to those causes externalities. They are, in fact, costs, and the only question is how are those costs borne? What we are proposing is with the severance tax, we address those externalities. And from my perspective, as chair of the Finance Committee, when I look at taxes, be it a severance tax on gas or any other of a variety of consumption or personal or business taxes, I always look at them through a prism of 5 factors that they have to be evaluated by. In my judgment, the tax has to be fair, levied fairly on all aspects of all the producers and drillers. It must be competitive, recognizing that this play isn't indigenous just to Pennsylvania alone, that this play goes into other states as well. But in that regard, I just want to point out that there's 50 states in the nation, 39 of them have severance taxes. The only question is what level and what they apply it to. Other natural gas rich states like Louisiana, Alaska, Texas, Oklahoma, all have this tax. West Virginia have this tax. So we've got to be competitive. We've got to be sensitive to the competitive marketplace when we do this. Third thing is it has to be market oriented. We've got to levy this tax in a way that makes sense relative to the market so that we don't discourage drilling here in Pennsylvania. In that regard, I also want to point out, in addition to having this enormous natural gas play, we've got the major pipelines crisscrossing Pennsylvania, which connect the gas fields further south and west with the East Coast market. So we are geographically well positioned. Fourth point is, I think I said it has to be efficiently collected. That the wellhead is probably the best way to do that. And a fifth component of any tax is it collected in a timely fashion? Now I know there are some that are looking for this revenue stream in the context of this year's budget deficit that we have to address. But I would suggest to you that irrespective of having a budget deficit, the right time to put a new tax in place is just as the business and industry is gearing up. Because if you put it in place, everybody knows about it, everybody knows what level it is, how it's going to be collected, they're going to know what their costs are. They then can build that cost structure into their business model. So that when they sign the leases, when they contract with the drillers, when they connect with the pipelines and the distributors, they will know what that cost is that they have to build into their business model. What you don't want to happen is to have contracts be executed based on the presumption that there is no tax. And then down the line, the legislature passes a tax. That allocates a lot of tax burden on different segments of the marketplace, which isn't necessarily always efficient or fair. So if you're going to do this, the time to do this is when the business is beginning so that they can build it into their business model. One other point I just want to make is this. We talked about, we need to use these revenues to take care of our environment, protect our water supplies and our wildlife habitat. I have long argued that, in Pennsylvania, hunting and fishing and wildlife watching is a $5 billion industry. And yet Pennsylvania is, if not the only, then one of the very few states that provide no general taxpayer support for our wildlife management agencies. Think about that. Our Game Commission and our Fish Commission is charged under law. Under law, they are charged to represent the interests of all Pennsylvanians, not just those that hunt and fish. They've got to protect and manage not just the wildlife that anglers fish for and hunters hunt for. They got to protect and manage birds and bats and raptors and amphibians and reptiles and snakes and everything else that nobody hunts or fishes for. So they've got to manage all the wildlife in Pennsylvania in the interest of all Pennsylvanians, not just the 1 million or so that happen to buy hunting and fishing licenses every year. We need to broaden the base of support for managing and protecting our wildlife resources in the state by, when we enact this fee, we need to earmark a small portion of it to both the Game and the Pennsylvania Fish Commission as well. Doing that will continue to enable the commissions not just to manage and protect those valuable wildlife resources, but it'll finally show that the general fund has some stake in the work of these two important wildlife management agencies. Thank you.